this government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them. And of course, the truth is, we won't solve our problems if we don't also take on the root causes, looking upstream to tackle poverty, conflict, climate change, issues that aren't just intolerable for those of us who care about inequality and injustice wherever it's found in the world, but which have clear consequences for our own citizens. Take Russia's aggression in Ukraine. We all have a responsibility for the future of our continent, to stand tall where oppression and violence rears its head. But it is also about energy security, because Putin and other tyrants have used their control over energy supplies as a threat. They've pushed up energy bills, threatened to keep doing so unless they get their way. And that's why we're investing in our own energy, sovereign control over our own future, whether that's nuclear, wind, solar power. Now, this will create good jobs, but it will also take the boot of tyrants like Putin off our throat. So our mission to become a clean energy superpower is about future-proofing energy supply, bringing energy bills down and protecting the planet that we all live on, doing right by our values and by our countries and our citizens. Because in this era, we must be the nation builders. We must be the patriots in our countries. We must show working people that we, and only we, can deliver the pride and belonging they seek. Their communities strong, cohesive, change for the better, taking control of our future, tackling the big challenges, whether that's climate change or illegal migration, not shying away from them. That is how we win. That is how we rebuild. That's how renewal defeats grievance.
We're live. Oh, sorry.
Well, we're going to go straight to the show. I'm out here in El Salvador, and if you guys are getting my signal clean and clear, we are in San Salvador. I'm not going to say where I'm in a hotel, and I'm broadcasting to you guys a very special report as what we are seeing currently at the UN with Bibi Netanyahu being threatened not just by Trump but by world leaders. We're seeing Israel take over the control of the digital landscape by hijacking the algorithm on TikTok to influence younger generations. The ADL admitting that today, actually, as they did in the leaks that we saw previously of their phone calls of Jonathan Greenblatt talking about their hostile takeover. And we're also finding out that Israel went ahead and found ways to take over cell phones. So they can now take over your cell phone, and they boasted about it. We're heading into an unprecedented era. Plus, we still have questions about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Things seem very weird. I don't know about you, but it seems incredibly off. The period of mourning seems extremely short, and I have a lot of questions. Making no accusations, but don't think that we're going to forget to continue our investigation into that. Additionally, this all comes at the head where digital IDs are being implemented. I told you guys they were implementing digital IDs in Western Australia, and Australia was going to be the testing ground for the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum now is being headed by who? The head of BlackRock, a Jewish man. Not that that matters. But this is the world that we're going to. This is the world that we're heading into, as we are warned by Peter Thiel and others that if we don't regulate AI, we'll actually bring on the Antichrist. They're all connected. We're talking about this and so much more here. Another episode of The Rift live Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, usually at 7 p.m. Eastern time due to the time difference and the amount of light that I have in this country. We're going live now. Let's start the show. My name is Elijah Schaefer, and this is The Rift. We are live internationally. Shout out to everybody who's watching across the board. I know where you guys are at. Those that are live on YouTube, Rumble, and on X. Shout out to everybody in the chat. On YouTube, we have new channels, 4YG, Deplorable Kulak. We have a few others that have just joined, including Randy Neon. And to those that are watching on the very, very secure and wonderful Rumble channel, shout out to you, Randall Flagg, Dr. Catmilk, Rob No for Trump, and the rest of you guys. All right, so I'm joined in the studio today by the one, the only Michael Mendoza, who is live out of Boca Raton, Florida. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, what's up? Good to be here again. Let me know that you guys can hear me correctly. Also, that was my fault. I forgot that I was supposed to go from the video into the intro. So that was why Elijah wasn't caught off guard. As we all know, Elijah is never unprepared for any situation, be it big or small, be it big or small, or be it long or short and stubby. So, you know, we're always ready. We're always prepared for everything that comes with us. This is our first time actually doing one of these styles of shows, though, where you're remote and then I'm doing from the studio. So kind of testing grounds for what we're doing right now. But so far, not so bad, I would say. But
yeah, no, it's not bad. And this is going to be the start of our new Rift OnlyFans. Rift TV is now going to be Rift OF, so it'll be absolutely fantastic. Speaking of this, though, look, I'm telling you guys, every episode, we do not want to talk about Israel. I do not want to talk about Jewish people. If I could do anything to not have to ever talk about these people again, I promise you, I would do that. I have lost so much money over the years by having to speak the truth about this topic. I have lost countless allies. I was even just talking to one of the more prominent people in the industry who was saying, basically, it's really hard to defend you. That's what they said. It's really hard to defend you because everyone calls you an anti-Semite or said you got on the anti-Israel train. And I go, you know what? My work has always spoken for itself. I've always been investigating things on the nose. And unfortunately, this nose is just a little too hooked. But I'm still on the nose. And I don't want to blame anybody for this. I don't want to talk about these topics. But of all 5 topics we're talking about today, for some reason, Israel or prominent Jewish people are involved. And Mike knows about that. We talk every week. How do we stop talking about these people? How do we get off this topic? And then we go and we name things, digital ID, takeover, this and that. And then all of a sudden we're doing our research and it all comes down to the same people. And it's getting exhausting because they're clamping down. But I don't think that our investigations are singular. I think people are realizing that, not all Jewish people are evil. Not everybody in the Israeli government supports Netanyahu. The entire country of Israel is not in some singular mission to, destroy the world. But there are very prominent individuals who are both Zionist and non-Jewish and also Jewish and Zionist that are working together to inflict maximum damage in institutions and governmental systems to undermine Western sovereignty, power, and to destroy our civilization. And there's really no skirting around it anymore because unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And if I know Mike knows this, if I could have it any other way, Burger King, I would choose it because this is a very, very costly decision to have to constantly talk about these people because they do make our lives hell.
yeah, well, I can't lie. I'm a pretty honest person, and I have to be honest with the audience. But I do regret to inform you guys all that Elijah did, in fact, get the call, and not only did he get the call, but he was on a 3-way with Benjamin Netanyahu and Nicholas J. Fuentes. So that's why he actually doesn't want to talk about Israel. It's not because of content or whatever. But no, actually, being serious, I do feel the same way because obviously this is one of the most important topics of our time, but it does kind of get redundant. And actually, speaking of Nick, he was actually just talking about this the other night, how now it's flipped so much to where when he doesn't blame Israel right away on something, whether you agree with him or not, now it's like he's being seen as the Israel shield because he's not jumping on blaming Israel right away for, in this case, the Charlie Kirk assassination. So kind of funny how much things have progressed in the last year, even much less 5-10 years. But yeah, it's I remember watching your show 5-6 years ago, Elijah, and it was just culture war stuff. It was talking crap about trannies or about whatever, just goofy stuff. And then now it's every day we're talking about the Zionist occupied government. Very different times, very scary times. But I mean, it's kind of the battle that we've decided to take on for ourselves. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, some people were calling him Nicholas Fuentenyahoo.
Yeah.
Even I saw, I think the Richard Hanania, the Hanania heads were calling him that. And, and just to clarify, I know where Nick's position is, I know where a lot of people's position is in this, and I don't divulge any of my personal conversations with people, but I think, he did generally just state to me that, in light of Charlie being murdered and the fact that we don't know what exactly happened, that's obviously problematic, and that's what I believe too. We don't know if the official narrative is true. A lot of things point to it being suspiciously questionable, I should say. We'll talk about that later, but he said that on the basis of trust, right now we have to lean on the people that we can trust, and I know that him and I have never crossed each other in any way. We've had our disagreements or whatever, but I think we're both just trying to do the same thing, which is figure out the truth, right? So whether people call you names, it's the reality is what is the truth here? And I want to talk about this digital ID stuff. Here's where we go down the rabbit hole. Here's where we begin our discussion. So if you can bring up that article from The Guardian, Mike, we're going to up called "Why Does the UK Need Digital IDs and What Data Will They Include?" This all connects to Israeli intelligence. This connects to the globalist agenda and, quite frankly, into losing World War II. So Starmer's proposal has been criticized by rivals and civil liberties groups and campaigners worry about people without smartphones. Keir Starmer has announced plans to consult on a mandatory digital ID to come into force by mid-2029 at the latest. Here we answer some of the most pressing questions. Why do people of the UK need digital ID? Here's what they're saying from the press. It's a left-wing press, by the way, in the UK. But they don't, according to most Labour political opponents, but Keir Starmer, with the backing of the Tony Blair Institute, believes it is a time for the UK to join the other countries, such as Estonia and India. Obviously, we in the West really model all of our decisions off of what the Estonians and Indians are doing, because God knows that Estonia and India are blueprints for what futuristic societies should look like. While the Indians are shitting in the streets, they're, giving us advice on our ID system. Now, they already have mandatory ID credential. Downing Street argues that it will speed up citizens' access to government services and will help employers determine whether people have the right to work in the UK. It would deter smuggling gangs who organize small boat crossings. Adding a digital ID will make it simpler to apply for services such as driving license, childcare, and welfare. Why is Tony Blair involved? He tried but failed to introduce national ID card when he was prime minister. In recent years, he began lobbying for a digital version. His institute, which is heavily funded by the foundation of Larry Ellison. Okay, so here's a Jewish man. Why are they always involved?
Yeah.
I'm being completely honest. I told you this. You read it, you're like, okay, let's talk about digital IDs. How could we make this about Jewish people? There's no possible way, because what do Jews have to do with the digital IDs in the UK? And it's like, a Jewish billionaire has been trying to work through proxy NGOs to lobby the government to institute a digital ID system. That's very freaking weird. And I got to ask myself, every rock that I lift up in the real world doesn't always have a spider underneath it. But if every rock I lifted up in my yard had a spider underneath it, I would think maybe we had a spider infestation, right? Like, it's not that maybe not every house has a lot of cockroaches in it, but if every room in my house has cockroaches in it, then my house has a cockroach problem. And it seems like when it comes to the nefarious opportunities in this world, particularly with governmental transformations, progressive governmental transformations, that powerful Jewish Zionists are pretty much either heavily involved or orchestrating the transition in white Western countries away from our free, somewhat liberal societies into what's going to be a technocratic authoritarian crackdown. From the U.S. with Palantir and Alex Karp, as well as Peter Thiel, all the way going to the digital ID system. Larry Ellison, the founder of the U.S. tech company, said that it will directly improve the government's fiscal position by reducing benefit fraud, improving the efficiency of tax revenue collection, and helping to better target financial support payments during the crisis. So what they're saying here, this digital ID is like, well, what is this and why is this bad? I don't know if I have to spell it out because of people who lived through the scamdemic.
Yeah.
But we saw in countries that had digital ID, not forced, but like Australia, that they were able to integrate an app, and then you could no longer enter. They were trying to stop you from entering grocery stores because you didn't get this injection. And to this day on YouTube, you're not allowed to speak out against it. But in Australia now, they created a digital ID to access the internet. In the UK, it's to work. But the point is why do they want this? Well, the Australians say that it's to prevent children from accessing adult content. And people in the UK say it's to stop illegal immigration. But realistically speaking, we all know what this is about. This is about gaining control slowly so that, I hate to be so eschatologically dispensational, but it's essentially to suggest that at some point when you don't agree with the system, you will not be able to buy, trade, or participate in society. It's about cutting off your ability to participate in society. I feel like nobody else would disagree with that at this point.
Yeah, no, well, definitely not. And I mean, as a lot of people, especially recently, have been saying, like, it seems like the forces that we are up against are, in some cases, and I would say more often than not, pure evil. So I don't think it's actually that much of a leap to actually make that parallel with the Antichrist and the beast system, to where, as you were mentioning earlier, you need to take some kind of a mark before you do any kind of commerce. Now, I don't think that the vaccine ended up being that. I know a lot of people said that at first, that taking the vax was the mark of the beast. I know this gets into, real eschatological spirit spy rating stuff, which is way over my head. Maybe we can have Jay Dyer and Tim Gordon talk about that sometime. But despite that, I think that, moving to a digital ID system is never good. And then now that we have Peter Thiel talking about, if you actually oppose AI, then that's actually what's going to hasten the arrival of the Antichrist. It's not that AI itself is hastening that, but it's actually regulating it, which is interesting that he even used that language, this like legalistic governmental language that like, oh no, if you actually regulate that, that's actually the real issue. It's not like, he didn't even say getting in the way. He didn't say anything that had to do with like, stopping it or slowing down. He specifically talked about regulation. So I think these people have some very nefarious things in mind that they want to do to the people in the future, which is why they're building bunkers in New Zealand and Australia and different places and parts of the world. So yeah, I mean, all that's just to say that, we should just reject this outright, because who knows what they're going to try and pull next. I don't want to be part of it.
Well, yeah, and look, and as we talk about this, people have to realize the severity, right? So people always accuse me of lobbying for China. I've been accused of lobbying for every country. I think India, China, Qatar, even Israel. I get called a shill when I just point out the truth or write something truthful. The point about China is that, we've always said they're authoritarian, you get arrested for wrongthink. But right now, leading the world in arrests for social media posts is the United Kingdom, with, I believe, nearly 12,000 arrests for saying things insensitive to migrants, illegals, right? People who don't belong there. And one of our good friends, you can see that there, Hugh, who is an incredible commentator in the United Kingdom, very, very talented young man. He basically got investigated by the police. Somebody called the police on him for the most insane reason that I don't even understand. It's actually hilarious. I said there, young white men in the UK are being investigated by police for typing the letter N, all while their women are raped and children butchered by black people without any backlash from the government. Listen to this call from Hugh Anthony, where the investigator says he's under investigation for typing the letter N, which is a legendary thing, but this is how scary it is. Watch this.
That's fine. But as soon as you go on, you know what internet is like, isn't it? It's just like getting on the street.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a view, that's fine. It's your view, your life, your will, your wish. No problem with that. But as soon as you express things on internet, when it comes to the police with evidence, do you know how serious it becomes?
Sure, but what I would say again is, what crime anywhere am I near committing?
Okay, if you want a crime name, then I can read the crime name to you, because right now, you are my suspect on this crime. The crime is called racially/religiously aggravated harassment / alarm, distress by words / writing. That's what it says.
So me writing the letter N has qualified for this. The singular letter N.
And the rest of the people following you.
I can't control what they write. So
I can dig this up. I can get every IP address in that full chat.
you can dig it up, but you're telling me that I'm a suspect in a crime.
Listen, don't put words in my mouth.
I'm not. I'm asking
Did
you.
I say that to you?
I just asked about the crime. You just said I'm a suspect.
All I said, this is just a friendly chat.
You've just said I'm a suspect there.
No. You are a suspect on the crime. Yes.
Because I wrote the letter
I
N.
don't think you are a suspect, because I think people are using you, because you just put the word N. The rest of the words you have not put in. I can dig and get the IP addresses of the people who typed that. But before I do that, I want to alert you, request you in a friendly manner to please do not put yourselves in a situation where tomorrow you will get arrested, magistrate's court, and all the rest. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Can I say for the record? Can I say for the record? So that tweet where I wrote N, what I actually meant to write was no, but I just misspelled and put an N.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so I meant to write no, and I've misspelled it, and I forgot to put the O.
I knew that.
There you go.
When I seen it, I knew that.
Yeah, it was a common spelling mistake.
Do you know?
Okay, so everybody knows that he was definitely not trying to write an N tower, right? I think Mendoza, we know, he confirmed to us that there was definitely no N towers. He did not want anyone to write an I or a G or maybe another G and maybe let any other letters underneath. He wanted to write no. I am not racist. He told you that, right, in a text message, I think.
Yeah, no, he did say that. He did confirm that to me. But honestly, I think this is a big distraction. What I think is the real pressing issue that we have to pressure the federal government to bring down the entire weight of the DOJ, of the FBI, of all the intelligence agencies, including Stephen Crowder's Mug Club. And we must crush Gavin Newsom for this horrendous hate crime that he, not only did he type the letter N, but he put a wine bottle with the letter N. I think he knows what he was doing. Anthony obviously just mistyped no, which, one does from time to time, and then your finger may slip and then hit I and then G and then E and an R. But, Gavin Newsom is actually inciting racial hatred here with this. I think the Hugh Anthony thing is just a distraction.
Yeah, me too, actually. So that's, ladies and gentlemen, that's so good. I was going to say, problem with this is I'm explaining to people is with the digital ID. Did you hear what happened in Vietnam with the digital ID? What happened?
I saw something about Vietnam today, but I didn't read much into it. No.
Yeah, so they just implemented digital IDs, and I need to actually fact check myself here real fast. Digital ID Bank Vietnam, because I have some facts down here. I just want to confirm that it's hit it. Okay, yeah. So now this is according to consumergroup.com, which I've had a few reports talk about this. So let's just say that this is alleged. But the State Bank of Vietnam has deactivated over 86 million bank accounts. Vietnam State Bank of Vietnam has initiated a significant data cleansing effort, deactivating over 86 million bank accounts as a part of a national push for biometric verification. The initiative stems from Project 06, a government project launched in 2022 to develop a unified digital identification system with the goal of full implementation by 2025 and a vision of extending it to 2030. The goal is to create a cashless society, reduce fraud, and align with international standards, such as those established by the OECD and BIS Bank for International Settlements. With a population of approximately 101 million, Vietnam had roughly 200 million bank accounts before this, many of which were inactive, duplicate, or used for scams, resulting in around 113 million personal and 711,000 organizational accounts remaining active after the verification. So what really happened is that a bunch of the population refused to get the digital ID, and they essentially deleted their accounts. That's what I heard from my source. They deleted their accounts and said, look, then you can't participate in commerce. Everyone knows Vietnam is a communist country. It is a modern communist country like the People's Republic of China. And it's got a one-party system, right? So it's one party, one rule. Maybe they wouldn't call themselves communists today, but they are far left. And the speed at which they can pass legislation is incredible. It's one of the most efficient governments from what I've seen in terms of passing shitty laws that hurt their own citizens. And guys, it'll happen here too. You know what I'm saying? This is what we already have Real ID. We have the digital database they're building, Palantir's building. The CIA is giving them the contracts. It's and then of course, who's behind this? Well, it's Larry Ellison apparently. Shelling through Tony Blair and then working with Keir Starmer. So Keir's not really the issue. Tony Blair is a Zionist. He works with a Jewish billionaire to create this. What the hell does this have to do with polite society? What does this have to do with Western society? How does this reflect Western or white values? It's just beyond alarming It's beyond alarming that no more people are talking about this, that this is not something that's being internationally discussed. You know, my family is in Australia right now. I'm not going to say where. I was supposed to go live out there for a couple of months to go visit family. But of course, I'm still banned from entering the country. We're still unclear on the exact parameters on the official level. The state has still kept me in limbo. They have mistreated me immensely, and I have not committed any crimes. And I'm banned from, being with my own family, despite being a resident, despite, my children being dual citizens. It's quite alarming. And the effects of this stuff, I already am experiencing it. But me not being able to enter Australia isn't the end of the world, But the problems that this is going to bring is, very soon you won't be able to enter the UK until you get a temporary digital ID, right? So now you're going to be a foreigner, but they're going to get your biometric data. They're going to make you register, and they're going to track your location, and they're going to track you throughout the country so that they can control information. This is about tracking. This is about orienting information in a centralized database so that if they don't like you, they can take you out. And there's not much else to say about that. But these Zionists, these globalists, whatever you want to call them, right? Globalists, Zionists, the same thing, right? So there's sort of this international global technocracy where Jews are the supremacists and sort of oversee this world. So it's about taking control. And then if you're a Christian, you would know that eventually the Antichrist, whether that's AI built through these individuals, right? But who built the main AI right now? It's Sam Altman, a Jewish guy. So this is where we're headed, towards a racially, religious, ethnocentric, supremacist movement of technocratic feudalism where we all serve them. We already can't afford to buy homes. We already can't afford to buy homes. And if you're like, well, I can't afford to buy a home. Good luck paying that off. What, over 30, 40 years, right? I mean, it's like you're not really buying a home. You're just leasing a home from the bank. And then even if you get the home, the property taxes are so high, you never really fully own it. So the system's already in place. It's just like, right now, if you want to actually even buy a house, if you're under 40, you've basically got to live not in a cool metropolitan place. Like, you're basically going to have to go to a more rural place. There's some places up north here in Florida that you can still, Idaho, South Dakota. There's a few states that there's some affordable places still, but pretty much everything is cooked. So, they told us about 5 years ago that you would own nothing, you'd be happy. And I got to say, I don't think anyone I know is happy. People are disassociated. They're confused. No, families can't live together. Kids can't buy homes where they grew up. Businesses are split apart. People can't even relocate. I've seen this businesses can't even pay people enough to relocate. Like how do you pay people to work in New York?
Yeah.
How do you pay people to live in LA? It doesn't even make sense. So cities are struggling with commerce, and I just feel like, we'll switch topics, but I feel like this is a very dark chapter in global politics and the United Kingdom. I'm going to actually question myself with this. Brexit might have been a complete failure, and I advocated for Brexit. And if it is Brexit's fault that they've accelerated so far left in recent years, then I apologize to my friends in the United Kingdom. But it is, you've seen it, right? It's completely fell apart. The entire country did. And it's not because of anything else in their own policies.
Yeah, well, personally, I was never too up to date with Brexit or what was going on over there. I was never completely on board, but what I was completely on board with was Blexit, and by that I mean blacks getting out of my neighborhood. So, just kidding. That's a joke.
Let's go.
Love blacks.
No, well, the key thing is just to have a neighborhood where they never lived to begin with.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? Because
right.
So Blexit is me getting out of neighborhoods so that I never have to live around these people. But the Giga Doomer said $2 in the chat. So do you think Lord Miles is dead? Look, dude, I personally don't think so, but I could be wrong. And we could talk about that, I guess. Do you think Lord Miles is dead? Because I don't think he's dead.
I don't. He's definitely the type to pull this kind of stunt. He's like a modern day Andy Kaufman type of character, except obviously Andy Kaufman wasn't political or anything. Technically, Lord Miles isn't either. There's a lot of people who are not political explicitly by nature, but they fall into these arenas, kind of like Sam Hyde or whatever. So I don't think Lord Miles is dead. I think it's just part of a gimmick. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's some like elaborate ruse to mess with the prediction markets. Because it's kind of funny now because, I mean, you know, even though Lord Miles is like a prominent figure and a lot of people know who he is, he's like been on the news before. It's funny that he is like a normal guy. Like he's like a normal guy that's very accessible and he can manipulate betting markets, and that like the fact that there's even something on these openly available betting markets to bet whether he's going to like finish this 40-day fast or not. It's kind of weird. It really is like a testament to the times that we're living in. Now even South Park is making episodes about Kalshi and Polymarket. Now it's very strange, but back to the original question. I think he's still alive. I think it's some big, maybe not publicity stunt, but it's some kind of elaborate ruse that he's pulling. I'll say that. So.
Well, yeah, and the thing is like everybody knows our show's been sponsored by Polymarket on and off for like a long time. I've never actually successfully like. Well, I got to just say this for a caveat, because technically online betting is illegal in my state. I've never bet online, but I do like to bet. And I genuinely saw the Polymarket thing, and I was like. The people thought I was like paid to share the Polymarket thing. I am paid sometimes by Polymarket, but like particularly like they didn't tell me to post anything about that or anything. I just like thought it was. I just noticed that the account that boosted him was like a betting account, and then they also like were following Polymarket and were on Polymarket, and then I saw that there was a bet for him, and I just kind of wanted to bring that public to be like, yeah, you know, I'm not a part of the manipulation. I haven't personally bet. I was going to actually, because when it first came out that he died. It crashed. The betting did. I don't know if you can bring it. Can you bring up the Polymarket?
Yeah, sure,
bring that up. Because so like, it was actually crazy. So when it first got announced that he died, $5,000. The betting odds were worth like $50,000. So I was gonna put like $5,000 down on the bet to just make like $50,000 because I had a feeling he wasn't dead. And then I was like, it's probably wrong to like be betting on my friend's life. Like that's probably not a good thing to do. And also, if he happens to be dead, it's going to be devastating. And I don't, like, yeah. So let me see. How far are we down? Are we? Let me see if I can see that.
Yeah. So it says 4 days until the Lord Miles market officially ends. He's been MIA for a fat min, as this guy says, and now Y shares are really starting to pick up steam. So yes shares, as in him being dead. I'm tempted to put like, I wouldn't put 5K down, but I put 500 down maybe. On him.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, well, like that's what I was going to say. I would too, but I'm not going to. We're not allowed to even legally tell you guys what to bet or anything like that. I'm not even promoting betting, and this is not even a paid segment for Polymarket, so that's not what this is. But yeah, I felt weird, and also with him and his death, I also felt like one of his friends, though, one of his good friends, said that he has been MI. He's been texting him. He has not responded in a couple weeks. So. He did say, like a good friend of his, and I have that on, like I spoke to him directly. He was like, I literally can't get a hold of him. But remember when we were told he died in Taliban custody?
Yeah.
He'd been kidnapped, he's been killed.
That's what I'm saying,
And he messaged me and he was like, I'm fine. I just like have a second cell phone in my backpack and I'm like, they don't know that I have it. All right, cheers.
That's real. That's real white excellence right there. Is Lord Miles. So shout out to him, whether he's there or not. Also, too, like I feel like he's the type of person who actually would want pyrotechnics at his funeral. Unironically, it's what he would have wanted. We'll just say that. So.
Yeah, but you know what's also funny too? By the way, speaking about here, I was hanging out with some politicians and stuff out in El Salvador. Like, I'm out here for a few reasons, but one of the main reasons is I'm trying to understand the structure of how right-wing governments can use the power that's constitutionally available to them, like how the left does. The left uses constitutionally available power, like when like Trump's in president, they put they lock him up in the courts. Like they do things to fight back, and when they're in power, they just like pressure social media companies to censor people. They raid the ex-president's home. They like use their constitutional power, even when it's sketchy. They use it. And Bukele down here, he legitimately has been wielding his power. Let me see. I don't know.
Should I bring something up or?
Sorry. No. Sorry. I was just messaging Hugh Anthony. I was asking him a question. He was messaging me back. But he actually wields his power, and I want to know how we can do that here. I want to bring up a tweet that actually went pretty viral. It was absolutely hilarious. as before we get to the Bibi Netanyahu speech. But like El Salvador, maybe you could bring it. Well, here, I'll put it real fast in the chat here at the top above digital ID. So yeah, if you can go to that one right there. So I want to show you a video of what El Salvador looks like and how beautiful it is. Realistically, how nice it is. This is in El Zonte, which is if you go down there to the video, it's beautiful. It's Surf City. This is where all the people are, and it reminds me a lot of California in a lot of ways. And I love this place. I love El Salvador. I think it's a little bit more expensive than Mexico now, but check out this. Check out what I wrote here. This is the problem in the West, and this is what I want to fix, and what I want to study is how Bukele has done such a damn good job in fixing this country. I said I met 2 American leftist women living in El Salvador. They said they didn't like President Bukele. I asked why. They agreed the country is safer than ever. They no longer have to worry about being raped, no more scams, muggings, and it's easier to make money. But he's apparently bad because, quote, he's a dictator. It's like, holy shit, he's not actually a dictator. He made all the positive changes constitutionally, and he made the quality of life better for all El Salvadorans. But because the media said that he's bad, they believe it. The mainstream media has brainwashed people to think that a leader who actually helps people is bad because he imprisons rapists and murderers. How is that bad? The key thing is the people of El Salvador love him. So here's what I'm saying. Now, I've even said, he said himself, oh, I'm a benevolent dictator. It's sarcasm. Like, he's worked within the constitutional framework. And the girls are like, he violated human rights. It's like, dude, he literally took people in murderous gangs in like disgustingly corrupt times, and he put them in prison and fixed the country. The results spoke for themselves, and yet women are out here being like, yeah, well, because of like this is what the education system has done. This is why women shouldn't vote, because it's like, yeah, but like he's a dictator. Like they don't like that bad word, because as if all dictators, like as if all democratically elected politicians are not corrupt and are not acting like dictators. They do whatever they want anyways. And if all dictators were bad, like some kings were beloved, So there's some people like Franco and we'll pull that one, but there are some people who were beloved, right, and really fixed their countries. But then they're like, in human rights abuses, they would rather have the arbitrary, like gay Jewish liberalism of like, oh, we respect human rights, but yet let the people of El Salvador suffer just so that they can be like respected by the left-wing press. That's the whole problem down here. Is like the left-wing international press tries to say he's a dictator and it's bad and he's fascist and he's not any of these things. He just cares about the people. He's not funded by special interests. He cares about common sense. He's actually quite liberal. Like they don't allow abortion out here based. They don't want gay PDA, but you could be gay, right? Which is why Michael Hennessy has not had a problem being down here. We were really scared for him just to, him and Joey, they're sharing a room and stuff, and we don't know what goes on in there, but it's, as long as it's in the room, that's what you're saying, Mike. Remember, because you came down here, you're like, guys, keep it in the room, and as long as it stays in the room, you shouldn't have a problem.
Which is actually why I got a separate room from Ed, because he was just he was a little bit too aggressive with his advances. I mean, just personally, I like to be wined and dined just a little bit, but he just rubbed it out and then went to sleep, and then was snoring too loud, so I had to get another room. So that's just me, though,
Yeah, and the thing is about this is it's like the reason why I say all this is because like in our inner circles, we like saying these things like, oh, he's this or that, but the reality is he weaponized the law and the Constitution. He amended the Constitution. So what he did is it's like, okay, did he go in and go gut and clear out the corrupt judges? He actually drained the swamp. So Bukele is what we wanted Trump to be, right? So he was like, look, we're gonna gut the judicial system. We're just gonna fire all these judges because they're corrupt. And so he kind of just went in and went like a little bit short of actually being what they accused him of being, and got the whole country under control. And then they amend the Constitution so that the president can have more terms. And now he might be president for life. But here's the deal: I was talking to a politician here who was telling me that they've seen it. The family has seen our work. They really do like the work that we're doing down here. They've watched the interviews. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to say who watched the interviews, but the right people did, and they like what we're doing. And I'm trying to become an ally of the Bukele administration. I want to help because what's happening down here is what I want to be happening in the United States. And I know that I'd be safer. Like Bukele would protect me if I'm being targeted, but my own government might target me and won't protect me. So I'm here because I need protection. And you go, well, why would they want to target you? Hey, they killed Charlie Kirk. Okay. I don't have any reason to believe the official narrative is 100% honest. I don't even care if Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger or not. That's irrelevant to me. Like, there's just so many holes in the official narrative that it's like it's. I feel like you'd have to have bought into COVID and Black Lives Matter and probably the Ukraine war and Zionism to believe that what you're being told is accurate. So that's my personal conclusion, and I'd stake my reputation on it, that I do not believe the official narrative is 100% accurate. And the reason why is because if I was assassinated and I was killed, I would want my friends to investigate. I would want people to look into every angle. But just like every other questionable thing before this that makes no sense, we're kind of like ridiculed for questioning. We're told to just accept the narrative. The FBI, who's, now we're being told to trust the FBI, right? That's all, we've got to trust the FBI's narrative. And it's like the same people who told you the FBI is corrupt. You saw them fumble the Epstein case. And I wrote on the internet, if you knew the things I knew you killed and the things I know, like, this is not one of those like bluff things. It's just like, hey, I can't say the things that I want to say about the situation because A, I'll get into a lot of legal trouble. B, I don't want to implicate people that I couldn't prove are implicated, but I just I don't trust. And 3, it's like, I feel in some ways I'm having more respect for his murder and more reservations on kind of just like making audacious claims. I'm gonna be careful here. Where like it seems like the people around him are just like moving on. It's like, like the morning season's over. Like morning's over. The show must go on. Like that's literally what some like people were writing, like Brick Suit and people like it's like they had a show today with Erica, and like I'm out of respect to Erica, out of respect to the staff and his friends, because they are my friends too, and I like them, and I'm not trying to create any problems. I don't think I'm alone in saying something feels very off. This all seems really sped up quickly, this sort of takeover, relaunching. And when I wake up and I see a bunch of guys streaming off of Charlie Kirk's X account, I'm not saying they have any malice or bad intention, but for me, I'm like kind of like, that's not how I would do it. That's what I'm saying. That's not how I would do it. I wouldn't want people to do that for me when I died. Maybe that's what he wanted. So I just, am I the only one that feels just like uncomfortable? Like it's like it feels like it was kind of just like, yep. And now we're taking over Turning Point and we're going to make it bigger and better and stronger. It's like he just had his funeral on Sunday. Like this is like a high profile assassination. Like this, something doesn't sit right. I do have evidence of why it doesn't sit right. I'm just going to refuse to mention it now. I will wait probably several weeks to bring up some of the stuff that I want to talk about once my lawyers clear me to talk about it, because I don't feel legally safe. We were already threatened legally. They've already threatened. They're threatening us like weird ways, threatening to bring down the global control of the best litigators in the world and to ruin our lives and bankrupt us if we were to dig any deeper and stuff like that into the Hamptons meeting and things. And so, I have to be very careful because these are Jewish people that are threatening us, right? We're being threatened by Jewish people, and they are good. They're very good at the law. I don't know if you heard about that, Mendoza, but they're very good at wielding the law. So I'm not making any claims. I'm just like, am I the only person just sits here because this all feels like really weird? Like something just doesn't sit right. And am I the one that feels that way? Because it doesn't even seem like Fuentes or anybody really has come to no one's been like, yeah, I know what happened and it's really obvious what happened. Everyone's just kind of like, it might be that, it's probably that. And why is nobody sure? Why do we not why once the no exit wound came out, when Candace released that and it was suspicious, the next day we get a text, it's because he was a miracle. Now we're relying on miracles to explain away
Yeah.
confusion. Like it's like magic bullets and like super strong bones. Like I hope it's all true, man. I hope true. I hope the official narrative is true. But as an ex-investigative journalist, you know, I'm a commentator now, but nothing about this screams accuracy, and I'm not using his death for clicks. You don't see me making episodes every day, you know, bring up 1,000,001 conspiracies and poisonous. I just have laid out the facts, and I've been sick to my stomach for weeks now because I think there's more to the picture. And here's what I was going to say. I'm not saying that any country did it. I am not saying that his donors did it. I am not saying that his friends were in on it or his wife. Anyway, I'm not making any claims like that. Okay, people make claims like that. I'm not saying anything like that. What I am saying is that I have not seen definitive proof that Tyler Robinson acted alone, that this was just a crazy leftist. I've looked at the evidence. I've spoken to investigators. I've spoken to journalists. I've not been convinced through deductive reasoning that the official narrative is. And there's so many things that are questionable that I'm afraid to prod and poke because I've been threatened legally, right? So as I've been prodding and poking, I'm getting threatened, and that doesn't sit right with me. As someone who was a friend of Charlie, who worked for Charlie for years, worked with him, I should say, spoke at his largest conference, you know, was just invited to AmFest, like just I'm on their website still, like I care. And I'm trying to be really careful because of the legal threats right now.
Right.
But like, why are you threatening me legally?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't said anything. I haven't claimed that anyone did anything or anything. Like I've just asked questions. All I've done is ask questions and I'm being threatened.
Yeah.
And this is by very powerful people, by the way. These are like the top conning people, right? Coming in, and then they're like threatening my employees and stuff. And it's like very sketchy. And then when I question, I'm being said like being called crazy. It's like the same thing, right? When you question COVID, you question these things. It's like you're anti-science. It's like, oh, you want to hurt Erica. You want to hurt the family. You want to dig up his bones. Or I've heard people tell me all types of things. You're like, no, I just want to know for sure who and why Charlie Kirk was murdered. You know, like is that a hard question? And I can't get a straight answer from anyone that's proving to me. Maybe you feel differently, but like I'm having a tough time over here with this investigation. I'm having a really tough time, and that's why I kind of came to El Salvador. I needed a break for a couple of days because my brain has been hurting. I'm scared, and I don't think that I believe what they're saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I don't completely buy into the narrative, and also I did just want to mention very briefly that you're lagging a bit. It's not unlistenable, but and also we just have maybe about 10, 15 more minutes, and then we're gonna go to something that I pre-record with Braden earlier regarding the Savannah Craraven episode, which if you remember, she's like a pro-life activist commentator. She was interviewing some black woman in Harlem, which, first mistake there, no disrespect to her. But she was interviewing a black woman in Harlem. The woman just punched her out of nowhere. The DA, Alvin Bragg, has since dropped the case. Me and Braden talked about that a little bit earlier, which will premiere after that, and we won't have to worry about the internet issues. But what I will say to this whole issue is that, actually, I was actually texting with a friend some months ago, who's also a prominent person in the right-wing space, because she has some personal connection to Candace as well. And, I didn't know anything about Erica until a few months ago. And I think it was because of the Young Women's Leadership Summit, and she gave a speech there. First thing that stuck out to me is like she's wearing this like Hunger Games style dress, which was just instantly odd to me, which, by the way, I mean, people go to the Met Gala, people like to show off or whatever, but that was weird to me. But then, what story does she tell? Oh, she tells a story about how she was in line in Israel, and then she meets him there. And it just seems like there's a lot of these things where it just reeks of, people who were in power who kind of arranged this marriage. And I know people say that about other commentators too. I don't know if there's any credibility to that, but, I think some people aren't kind of going along with the line of the other conspiracies because there isn't as much tangible evidence there. But with Erica, and again, this is a very tough, controversial thing to talk about now, because like you never want to talk about a grieving widow, but I mean, I don't know if you've seen this too, if you want to speak to this, but she doesn't look like she's doing a whole lot of grieving. I mean, she went out onto the stage. She's wearing a white dress. Or a white pantsuit, like whatever it was. It is a very weird situation. And also, like you mentioned too about his funeral on Sunday. I mean, can we even call that a funeral? I mean, maybe he had a private funeral just for his family and like very close friends, but that's not much of a funeral. I get that, that Charlie was like a showman. He wanted to put on these big productions. He pretty much lived his life for the GOP. So yeah, I actually do believe in some regard that, yeah, he probably would have wanted to go out that way, not in the way that he was killed, but like at least in the funeral and memorial. But you are 100% right. Everyone's moving on really fast. There were fundraising emails 2 or 3 days afterwards. I mean, I was actually very careful with how I made thumbnails the day of and the days following, just out of respect for him and his memory. So, sending out fundraising emails, it's just all in poor taste. And, it just makes me think like, who actually stood to gain from this? That's the real question. And I think there are some people, which I don't want to directly name, who can benefit off of. I don't think it's necessarily Israel, but maybe they may have. I think what's a lot more likely is that there's a lot of interested parties that would have liked to have seen Charlie got knocked down a peg and, maybe not killed, but, that's how it ended up. I think there's a lot of interested parties at play, which is why so many people are fighting right now about pinning it on one single entity. I don't think it's just one single entity. I think it's a lot of different people who maybe wanted to take over that post of head of TPUSA who control the youth. So that's a long-winded answer, but that's kind of what I think of it. So.
Right, and I listen. I am, besides being legally threatened this week to basically stop my investigation into what's going on, which is really look. I'm not actually scared of the legal threat itself. Like, fuck you. That's sketchy. That's sketchy. If I were to release those threats, that would really ruin your reputation, sir, because that doesn't make you look like you are innocent of anything. If I've never said anything about you, sir, and you know who you are, I've never made any claims that you've done, said, or conspired in anything. All we've brought up is your name, and you're the most prominent person that I know of, second most, that was involved in all of this. And somehow you want to intimidate my employees and threaten us, and I find that to be odd. Very odd. And if I were to release those threats, I think it would make people more suspicious as well. Why you would be threatening two investigative journalists working together who don't even share political beliefs, myself and Max Blumenthal, over an joint investigation into just the truth. And I will say, look, this is where I'm going to I really want to be careful. I got to be so careful because I actually know these people. And like the worst thing to do, and I'm not trying to do this here, the literal worst thing to do, like you said, is to criticize and lambast a grieving widow, and or to suggest that any of my friends that are in the proxy of Kirk had anything to do with any of this. So like this is not, but out of the frankness of truth, I have to say this. When I watched Erica Kirk's message grieving for Charlie Kirk, my first initial thought was not anything weird. I just thought, you know what? It looks like somebody forced her to do this. And she's like forcibly reading a script because it seemed like it came across like an episode of Days of Our Lives, like a soap opera. Like it was like, I'm not gonna mimic her. I'm not going to do anything insensitive, and I'm not claiming that she was being disingenuous. Okay, I thought it was fake when someone showed me the clips. I go, oh, that's not real. There's no way. That sounds like fake grieving or whatever. So then I concluded in my head, I go, you know what? I would imagine she was mourning. She didn't want to get up there. Maybe somebody wrote her speech for her, right? I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe somebody wrote her speech for her. She was in a psychotic break. Her husband was just murdered, and she's trying to be diplomatic. There's a lot of pressure. Maybe she's scared. She doesn't want to lose her livelihood. She realizes there's other people vying for Charlie's position. She wants to come across strong. And so it just came across like like fake, right? So like, you know what I mean? I'm like, you ever go this? I'm trying to be very respectful, saying I'm gonna just give the benefit of the doubt and say like, yeah, there's just probably a lot going on that it didn't come across very genuine. That doesn't mean she wasn't. I'm not even questioning her motives. I just like, it just was weird. And then I got the same vibe at the funeral, or like the funeral from a few people, and I deal with a lot of grieving people, and I'm a very expressive and emotional person, and I'm just confused. That's all I want to say. I'm just confused. And then I have had people tell me one thing behind the scenes that are connected to the situation, and then go on shows or go public and lie and say the opposite of what they told me. Which is like, we could talk about that after, Mike. That would get me in huge legal trouble if I explain that one. But I'm like, okay. And then I also thought it's weird too. These are just things I just think are weird, right? I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I want to clarify it 50 times. I'm not accusing one. I'm not saying there's anything nefarious. I'm not bringing this up. But like, also I got a little bit of these vibes of like, why are we going on TPUSA shows of people that are like TPUSA clones on TPUSA payroll to like do the breakthroughs of like, here's debunking the facts. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like almost like Sean Hannity going on Jesse Waters to talk about why it was good that Tucker left or something, like why they kicked Tucker out. It's like a Fox News host on a Fox News host talking about somebody who's not there anymore. I don't know if this is a genuine conversation or just propaganda. It feels like something just feels off and forced about all of this, the timing, the speed, the cadence. And what I'm wondering is there something nefarious, or is it just a really fucked up situation? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, is it just a really fucked up situation? There's a lot of outside forces of people trying to like maneuver, and people are like forcibly maneuvering. Like, what if like this guy over here, like he knows these people are going to try to take him out and take over the position. He wants to sit there and grieve, but he's got to make his moves because he knows people are going to outmaneuver him. So it's like we got to just go and move on this. So that's why, again, there's no accusations here, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not even going to use the word suspicious because that's not even what I'm feeling. I am so uncomfortable with this, and it's not. Like, if I wanted clicks, I would have said everything. I would be telling you the names. I would be dropping the threats. I'd be making this whole thing, and I would be starting this war. I don't want a war with Turning Point. I don't want a war with anyone. I'm not here to mock Erica. I'm not here to go after Boyer, Covette, or any of his friends. They're my friends too. I love Boyer. I love Covette. I don't know Erica personally. She seems like a sweetheart. I know she's a very accomplished woman. And so, none of this is directed at them. I'm just confused, and I think that a lot of us are confused, and I don't think anyone's addressing that or being willing to be like, hey, I know a lot of you guys are confused, and like, here's how things are looking this way. I'm just getting COVID vibes from this of like, trust the experts. We knew him. We're around him. The diary gave it all. This is what he wanted, and now we need to invite a grieving wife onto a show. What? Like, I'm just like, dude, I'm just like, wait, everything's like, but like at the end, it's not my life, not my world. So maybe I just sound like a crazy guy, but I'm actually sick about this. I actually am fucking mad. I really, every one of you is. It's affected all of you guys. Like, and it feels like it's I'm talking to like an ad salesman, and he seems like he's more affected than the people that were closest to him, right? That's like what's weird. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Why does this come across so weird? It's like watching a North Korean like thing. Like, they're like cheering. Yeah. It's like I feel like I'm watching people where I'm like, do they really love Kim Jong-un, or are they just afraid they're gonna get shot if they don't do that? And I feel like, I know this is an inappropriate comparison, but it seems like either people are intentionally acting suspicious and off, or they have a gun to their head too, and they're scared and they're trying to save face. That's what I would say professionally. It seems like, and again, I'll say seems or feels, because it could completely be the opposite, and they could just be under stress and trying to scramble. So like, what I mean? So I don't know. Does anyone agree with me in the chat on that? I don't know if you do.
Yeah, well, let me see what the chat says actually, because I'm kind of curious. But I mean, I will disagree with what you said about no one talking about it, because actually everyone on Twitter is talking about it. It's just the people at the top who are like pushing the quote unquote official narrative, which is the no exit wound, the Man of Steel. And then the diary the diaries thing that came out today. Actually, me and Earl Grey were talking about this today because we were like, yeah, because as men we very religiously keep diaries, and also diaries are meant to be more so for like your personal life and like what's going on in like your like relationship or like with your family or friends or whatever. It's not meant to lay out schematics of running like a multi-$100 million corporation, 501c3, whatever, nonprofit that is like very influential. And like that gave me vibes of the passport of like the 9/11 passport from the hijack.
Yes.
It's just like it just popped up, and then all of a sudden we're just supposed to like expect, oh yeah, he said that he wanted Erica to run it, and then he also said that it's Ice Cream Friday every day for the employees, and also to like just all these very convenient things that were just left behind in the wake of his death. I think I also heard too that he was actually just very recently working on his will, which, I mean, to be fair, in your 30s, like you do start to think about that, especially once you have kids. So maybe there's nothing to that, but
he's got a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it does make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
There's a lot of like things that are just way too convenient. I don't think that anyone's buying the official narrative. Like at the very least, people are questioning what's actually going on with Erica, what's her origin story. Again, I know we all feel terrible talking about it, and then we keep qualifying
it's just like, yeah, no, but like the reason why I'm being very careful is because like I mean, if they're still willing to invite us, I would still, I was invited to AmFest by the top leadership at Turning Point about a couple weeks before Charlie was murdered. Marjorie Taylor Greene was invited as well, and so I'm not trying to insinuate anything to damage the professional relationship between this network and their organization, right? Those are separate things than my own personal investigations. But I am the CEO of this network, this company, and my opinions do bear on the weight of what people feel about it. Just like she's now the CEO of the company, I believe. But this is just something like you really don't want to get wrong, because you don't want to implicate people who might be the next victims, the next greatest victims other than Charlie himself, right? So obviously the next victims of this would be his wife and his kids, right? So it's like he's the main victim, and they'd be the secondary, and the tertiary would be like his leadership and the people around him that loved and supported him, relied on him, and then it goes down and down and down. And so I am just going to say, when I talk to people at the top, they think like I do, and they all have the same questions, and people are not buying what this narrative is. And I don't think that we're being taken seriously, and I think it's creating a massive confusion. And I really like to get some answers because I watched people lie to me or to the public, but they weren't telling the truth to both of us. So one of us they were lying to, and like going publicly and being like, there was no pressure from donors, and then privately telling me there was pressure from donors. And it's like, okay, well then are you lying to me or to them? So I'm going to say you're probably telling me the truth because we're behind closed doors, and I would imagine you're probably, but then if you're lying to the public, did you get threatened? Obviously they wouldn't tell me, but it's like, did you get threatened? Like, or did you find something out? And you're like, again, like maybe these are the good guys. Like maybe they're trying to protect people. Like maybe they're trying to protect Erica, protect, the kids, and like, kind of like with Epstein, like maybe Trump isn't, maybe there is something nefarious. I'm just saying, you always have to look at both sides of the coin. Maybe he is trying to protect good people. Maybe there was a plot to try to take people out. Like it all could be true. And that's the problem with darkness, is in darkness, it's really hard to know what the truth is when there's no light, right? So there's no light on this. And this just feels like another sort of hidden thing. And I think we all deserve answers. I think we deserve the truth. Because I want to read a couple things here about the Bibi Netanyahu thing. So like, I have a pretty like viral tweet today about Israel. It's a top one there under Bibi. And the Prime Minister of Israel account released a statement saying, if we can bring it up here in a second, it's about, yeah, there you go. So in an unprecedented action, Benjamin Netanyahu, in a live broadcast from the UN building in New York, has announced that the IDF took control of the telephones of Gaza residents and Hamas members, and that his speech is now being broadcast live via the telephones. And I wrote, Israel can control every country on demand, but couldn't detect third world paragliders on October 7th. Whoever still believes that deserves to be occupied, LaMeo. And a lot of these things are like crazy. Like we're out here, people are like, just trust the narrative. It's like a lone gunman. Why are you questioning things? It's like, because like we're being gaslit in every corner, right? It's like we're being lied to in almost everything. It seems like everything is a fucking lie. And it seems like a genuine psyop that like you go out and it's like, well, why do you think this guy was working with people? You're like, because we have evidence that he was. He was getting visited by cars with out-of-state license plates showing that people were flying in and visiting him. So many that the police were called and a police report was written, allegedly. But it was, allegedly. Then everyone tried to hide the Hamptons meeting. And then, no one had the answers to refute what we were saying initially that other people were reporting. And they're like, that never happened. I'm like, well, the people that told me were there. And then they all came with this coordinated effort to, say that we were lying and stuff. You're like, I didn't even say anything. All I just said is, here's what people who were there said happened. And then you didn't clarify. You all came out with a coordinated response, And then also, we didn't even say anything illegal happened. We didn't even say that it was connected. We didn't even say the pressure from the donors was connected. It was just like, hey, it's an open investigation. It looks like there was pressure from donors. I was told there was pressure from donors from several people. I was told literally the reason why I couldn't speak at schools or why I was being blocked was likely related to the pressure from donors. So, it's like, and then I get gaslit publicly. It's like, you're just anti-Semite, and you're trying to say Israel did it, which I've never claimed. I've never even suggested Israel did it. I've never suggested it. Never said they did it. Never, ever said that. And that's even more of the gaslight we talked about with Ted Cruz. We're like, when you're saying something and then they switch it to something else, that's even more suspicious. You know what I mean? Like, why? Like, it's like, why did you get home late last night? And it's like, oh man, why are you always asking me questions? You've been really annoying me recently, trying to ask me everything I do, calling me every 5 minutes. And it's like, no, I just asked you one question. I'm not asking you everything you do. I'm not, like, why are you deflecting? So like the deflection is weird. And I'm not going to stop digging until we find justice for Charlie. And I'm afraid, and I do believe this firmly, unless someone leaks, if someone leaks or is going to leak, they'll be killed before they can leak, which I firmly believe will be killed. And I believe they're going to kill more of us. And who's they, though? I'll leave that one for my friend. Kanye West to answer. But yeah, that's where I sit on all this.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, well, I mean, time reveals all things, and obviously people are on the ground, including yourself, doing a bunch of research into all, because I mean, there's, I think one of the most adamant people who's been really grinding away at this, who's been really committing all of his time to this, is Ryan Maddow, who actually we just had on the show. It's kind of crazy that we just had him on the show like not even 2 months ago, and now he's like front and center taking on this whole thing too. So it's interesting. I still don't really know what to make of it. I think the most interesting angle right now for myself personally is this Erica thing. And again, could be completely wrong about that. Don't want to speak ill of a grieving widow, but I just don't see, this is me personally speaking, not for anyone else, network, not for Elijah. I don't see a lot of grieving. That's it. It's just very strange. If I lost like one of my parents or my wife, or God forbid, my daughter or something, I would be out of the public eye for weeks. So that's just how I would deal with it. But maybe she's just incredibly strong. I don't know. Who knows? But that's all I can say about that.
Well, yeah, and no, I'm incredibly sad, incredibly heartbroken. I'm very happy to get back to the U.S. To continue building this network, getting our shows launched, and just trying to get the truth out to the people who need it the most. I still have some work to do after this as well, but I'm very, very happy to very, very happy that we have a good people on our team, good people on our side. And I hope that we can continue to grow the show. Don't forget to like this video. If you're watching, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you follow us. Again, usually we're live at the same time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're just live a little early tonight because I'm in another country in El Salvador. We have some more content for you guys. Brayden Sorbo came in, one of our contributors, to cover some more content as well. Some other stories, some culture war stuff that was going on. Let's jump into that. We'll be right back. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe to our locals. ElijahSchaefer.locals.com. You should be able to bring it up. If you're watching on Rumble, you can click the little join button. That's just the little red one. If you're watching on YouTube, they'll throw it in the chat there for you in a second. But make sure that you know that this is very, very serious. And, there's an organization that I work with that, kind of is control. The person that controls the content moderation, anti-white, pro, they think blacks are better than whites, and they are the most pro-Israel person. And every organization I work with in the media is just run by these rabid Israeli connected Zionists, and it's just so frustrating. It's just so frustrating, to say the least. And I appreciate you guys a lot. And, powerful Jewish people have done some very nefarious and evil things to me in the last few weeks. They've really messed up my finances, messed up my income, and have tried to ruin my reputation, my life again. And we've survived another attack. And I'm kind of crawling out of it, right? It's been very, very challenging, very difficult. And obviously the Jews were behind banning me from Australia, as well as the Australian Jewish Coalition lobbied to get me and Candace banned. Several other people as well. These people are just unfortunately not good people, and they are trying to ruin our lives. And I have to speak out against it. And I kind of woke up in this country, and I've decided that I'm going to start researching what it takes to convert to Orthodoxy and Catholicism. Now that I've researched the religions, sort of what they are. I went to a Catholic sanctuary here, parish. Beautiful in downtown San Salvador. Just the beauty of what I saw. I never understood iconography. I never understood Catholic churches. I always thought it was a bit sacrilegious. But I walked in there and I felt God was there, right? I felt like God was there, and I was able to sit down and do the sign of the cross, get on my knees in front of the altar, and just pray the Lord's Prayer. Very simple. I'm starting to pray again, which is crazy. People that know me, I'm like a recovering degenerate. I'm not some very religious or person anymore. I did used to be, but I was Protestant, dispensational evangelical, and it's so fake. These people they're so fake, and it's literally killing and rotting America. This form of theology. And I love evangelical people. They're very moral, very good, but I just don't like the fakeness that goes on in a lot of these churches, and the push to support Israel and above God's people. And that's what they were telling me to do. They deny it, but they were telling me to do it. And it's such a change of growth for me to sit in a church, just be able to pray. And I've prayed a few nights now. For a couple, about 10 days, I've been able to pray because I'm a very angry person right now. I'm very irritable. I'm very frustrated. The car getting stolen, Charlie getting murdered, the Jews ruining my finances. Just a lot of things have been really, really frustrated. Very, very full of a lot of rage, and it's weird. And in the midst of feeling desperate in life, and in a lot of pain, especially now being separated from my family, not by any problems, again, because they're in Australia visiting family for a couple months. I was supposed to go, and I can't go because I've been blocked. It's kind of crazy that I can hear the Spirit of God sort of calling me, calling my voice, and helping me see that I need that I need God. And I think there's a lot of us that are kind of here too. I think a lot of people watching this, a lot of people who you see on the internet sort of are having the spiritual calling that is deeply comforting and somewhat scary, because you realize that, it's the God who created heaven and earth, who's taking time to call you. So why, right? And what does he want with me? What does he want with you, right? Like, but it's a very profound personal question. Why does God want me? Because like I'm just like a stupid like kid who likes to party and hang out, you know? I'm not anybody. I'm not anything famous. I don't have a big platform. It feels like when I talk to other people, a lot of people are in the same boat. So if you're feeling that pull towards like, hey, I need some divine intervention, I got to lean on God, it's probably God. It probably is. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and jump over to Braden talking about some cultural issues. We had a person on our show, as Mike mentioned, that was attacked and for being pro-life, and now her attacker is being let off essentially. Anyways, we'll be right back, and we'll see you there. Don't forget, again, subscribe, like, share, and I'll see you on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's jump over to Braden in just a couple minutes here. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Be here with you all, I guess, as we're pre-recording this. Unfortunately, I have another event that I have to be at, and so I'm only able to be here for the first segment or so, but nonetheless, grateful to spend some time with y'all. As everyone knows, my name is Braden Sorbo. I'm a contributor here for The Rift, the author of Embrace Masculinity, Lifting Men Up in a World That Pushes Them Down, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mike Mendoza.
Hey, what's going on? Good to be here. Yeah, like Braden just said, we are pre-recording this right now, so pardon our dust as we're kind of getting everything together. Right now, Elijah and team are still in El Salvador, tending to a lot of important business, taking on very important business meetings. So, but he will be back, I think, in town next week. And then we have some more big stuff coming up for you guys, so tune in, and then you guys will be kept up to date on those things. So, Braden, take it away. Yeah,
we're very excited for this show, as much as of a hectic time it is, and hopefully the team is able to beam in for a little bit to say hi to you all. But this is a close personal story to me, because I know Savannah Craraven. Her name is Savannah Craraven Anton, I believe. She that's her husband's last name. I met her in February at the pro-life rally event that I went to in California, and she's super sweet, amazing girl. Fantastic woman, and her husband are great together. And she was in New York City in April interviewing people. I believe it was in Harlem, which I think is our first mistake, is going to Harlem of all places. But she went to Harlem and she started street interviews with people about being pro-choice versus pro-life, kind of the differences. And she was talking to a woman named Brianna J. Rivers. Now, Brianna is what people would call a lady in the terms of the definition. If she ain't 280, then she ain't a lady. So Brianna J. Rivers is definitely above that 280 mark. She walked up thinking maybe she was going to get a Happy Meal out of this or something, and accepted the invitation to do the interview. And upon realizing that Savannah was a pro-life advocate, became violent and assaulted her on camera for no reason. I think, honestly, it comes down to a little bit of a frontal lobe underdevelopment leads to this natural aggression. Right?
You know what? I think you talked about this a little bit on the forgotten episode from the other night in the last 10 minutes. No one will ever see that because it never will see the light of day. But actually, you got into that in quite astounding detail.
I did.
Show, so.
And so this time we'll keep it in less detail for the people. But I'm sure everyone watching this who typically watches the show Elijah Rift, they probably know what I'm referencing here. So yeah, it's very interesting watching this play out. And so District Attorney Alvin Bragg was given the case because it happened in New York City, and Savannah immediately filed the police report, was told by two different prosecutors that she spoke to that this was cut and dry assault, felony charge. Brianna was actually charged at the time she spoke to the officers. There was, multiple different news outlets that were covering this. Everyone posted it online. And Brianna decided the best course of action was to make a GoFundMe, to go and celebrate, essentially, what was happening to Savannah. And so look at this. The abortion activist who sucker punched Savannah Craraven twice during an interview started a GoFundMe for legal defense, even though the platform says it doesn't allow fundraising for those accused of violent crimes. And so you could see she has a help support Brianna Rivers, and she raised $9,000. Right? She has this whole thing. Oh, well, I watched. I'm so glad you socked that imbecile. Love my NYC NJ fam, son. I'm from Jersey Shore. We don't play. What do you mean don't play? Savannah is a nice, innocent girl just sitting in a dress asking interviews, and you sucker punched her for no reason. There is no playing here.
Yeah, right. And actually, I kind of forget now because, this actually transpired, 2 or 3 months ago now. We actually had her on the show after this happened, but wasn't the question just about aborting children in the womb or something? It wasn't like she was insulting her for being black or something. And obviously, I think Savannah is some kind of black herself. I don't know if she's partially
mixed.
Hispanic or something, yeah, or what she is. But yeah, I was talking about this the other day with some of the people in the office, but it is funny how some of these people who don't really have much to be proud of, they like really latch on to like where they're from. So like in those comments there, they're like, oh, we're from Jersey Shore, we don't play. Like, it's like, what does the geographic location in which you were raised have anything to do with, you being violent with someone over them asking you a question? Like, it's just a very low IQ pattern of behavior that I've just noticed in the past. So
It's incredible. They have to latch themselves onto something that is quote unquote bigger than them. And unfortunately, because so little is bigger than them, not literally because Brianna's a big girl, but in the metaphorical or figurative sense, they have to connect themselves to something that is more important than they are so that they can have that feel. It's the same goes for people who are addicted to watching the NBA or the NFL, right? You become one with your team. You're in the stands cheering when your team wins and you didn't contribute anything, right?
Yeah.
You bought a ticket, but you're not the one playing the game, but you're celebrating as if you partook in it.
Yeah.
And so it is this kind of phenomenon, this mental deficiency, I want to say, with a lot of these people where their pride and joy is the hometown in which they're from and nothing more. And there's nothing wrong with being proud of where you're from, right? I'm originally from, I was born in Vegas, bounced between Canada and Vegas, then California, then New York, and now Florida. I can be proud of the places that I lived. Not that I am. There's really not much to be proud of if you're from California. But that doesn't mean that it's my entire personality. That doesn't mean who it makes up the core fibers of my being. And so it's very interesting. But I pulled up the video. Can we show it? We can show it here, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So here's the video with Savannah.
Yeah, well, I'm not the one who admitted they would be okay with killing babies in foster care and killing children that have been abused.
That's not the point. What I'm saying.
That's really.
Stop him. What's wrong with you? Stop him.
You have a. Oh my God. Yeah, well, I'm not the.
Hey, well, you know what? It's fine because she's from whatever, New York, New Jersey, Philly, whatever, and they don't play. So
Yeah, they don't play.
I was just informed that actually it's fine to ask someone in the middle of you asking the question, by the way. It wasn't as if she asked this question and then she was so taken aback, she was so offended that, yes, she had to resort to violence, but she was asking the question kind of probably even more to catch her off guard and even more of a sucker punch than it already was. But yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And, these people just resort to these means every single time.
No, I mean, it's literally every single time. And even Savannah, like you would think, hypothetically, that the little bit of like pack mentality that certain individuals from Lake Worth have would transfer over, but it doesn't. The second you have any sort of leave the plantation, so to speak, ideologies, you become an enemy, right? And you see that time and time again, especially in like the right-wing movement. The second anybody tries to say anything that isn't like a typical talking point of the left or of Lake Worth people, you become public enemy number one. And so Savannah was just simply criticizing the fact that Brianna had rightfully, not rightfully justified, but she had justified the abortion of children in foster care and children in the womb. And so she was just clarifying for her video viewers, hey, so this is what you did say. And then in the middle of pulling back to ask the question, just swinging.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, there were thousands of dollars of medical bills that were because of this too. And Brianna is still online bragging about it, that she's here. And it goes to show the precedent that Alvin Bragg, not even setting, but following, because we've had this before. You had this with the Cincinnati Jazz Festival. You had this with the Arena Zarutska killing on the North Charlotte, Carolina train, right? You had the Kansas City NBA Youngboy concert with the guy who was the security guard. Did you see that? The security guard asked the kid to move, and the 15-year-old kid assaulted him, a 66-year-old man, and beat him.
Well, to be fair, he was being security at an NBA Youngboy concert, so he kind of had it coming, actually.
He did.
But yeah.
And he asked him to move.
Yeah.
Remember when the thing happened with Austin Metcalf and everyone was like, all you have to do is ask him to move and they would move very... Clearly not.
Yeah.
Clearly not. I'm
Right.
just saying, can we be a little bit consistent here? This is a very valid critique. And so it's a shame that that this has to happen to people for them to wake up. Because frankly, I wouldn't wish this violence to happen to anybody. Unfortunately, Savannah is one of the firsthand victims of it because so many people are on the receiving end now, especially more than ever when it comes to this kind of behavior, that the fatigue levels are off the charts.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a video that I just did with the Rift Instagram reacting to a video. These two girls stole like $13 of stuff from a gas station, and the gas station clerk filmed them walking out, and then they assaulted him. but nothing's going to happen to them.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen. It never does.
Also, it's just crazy too. One thing that sticks out to me, I'm 35 years old. I think the last time I was in a physical altercation of any type was like 10 years ago. The fact that these communities have their women getting into fights, I mean, number one, that's just crazy to begin with, but it's also extremely common. I mean, anytime that like you go on Twitter, there's some video on a Caribbean cruise line or at a Spirit Airlines help desk or something, like it's always going on. And it would be one thing if men were engaging in fisticuffs with one another, but the fact that it's the women of their community who are also just as violent, it's just, it's obviously not a very feminine thing to do to fight with people. So it just shows like how prevalent it is in their community. And that's kind of why a lot of these people grow up to be even more violent, kill people and go to prison for it. And then on the other end, we have liberals who are insisting that we get them released from prison. It's kind of just like, it's a vicious cycle that's not working out for Americans at all. So.
No, 3% of the population committing 45% of murders is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, they justify it. And it's so weird to me. This mental gymnastics and this pack mentality of protecting, like you said with the comments. Oh, I'm from New Jersey. We don't take that around here. All these people online, they raised $9,000 for her on a GoFundMe, which I believe ended up getting taken down. But it's like, that's insane. And Savannah just texted me, by the way, because I asked her, I said, are there any details that you haven't shared yet that we could talk about on the show? And apparently the district attorney's office left a voicemail asking her to call them back. And so hopefully we might see something just from the repercussions and the backlash that they're receiving right now, because this is clearly an injustice. Colin Rugg ended up sharing her video to X, so I pulled it up and we could take a look at this.
On April 3rd, 2025, I, Savannah Craraven Entau, was brutally assaulted in the streets of Harlem while conducting interviews on Planned Parenthood. The entire shocking interaction was caught on camera by my husband, leaving no doubt that the assailant, Breonna J. Rivers, was not only guilty of aggravated assault, but also exulting over her own vicious criminal act. Rivers was arrested and reportedly charged with felony assault. But after an interview with 2 prosecutors, I was informed that the felony had been downgraded to a misdemeanor. Despite indisputable video evidence of brutal assault and battery, producing significant injury, trauma, and resulting in over $3,000 in medical bills. Over the next few weeks, the office of the New York District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, infamous for its 2-tiered system of justice that favors criminals over victims, failed to pursue the case. On July 23rd, 2025, I find out the prosecution simply allowed this misdemeanor to be dismissed on speedy trial grounds, apparently due to the prosecution's failure to file a certificate of readiness. I was never advised by the prosecution that my case had essentially been abandoned. As a matter of fact, the prosecutor assigned to handle my case isn't even admitted to the New York bar, just an inexperienced law school graduate. Yet he was able to handle my case under a student practice rule, which is supposed to apply to only very minor offenses. Prior to the dismissal, the prosecutors failed to communicate with me and with my lawyers. And the failure to communicate continued after my lawyers intervened on my behalf to try and find out how this case could be dismissed. To this day, my lawyers and I have received 0 reply, despite multiple text messages, emails, and phone calls. It is inconceivable that a violent assault case such as this, one that received widespread media attention, including that shocking video, would be put into the hands of somebody not even admitted to the New York bar, who then allowed for the case to be dismissed. It is hard to avoid the conclusion that this case was deliberately sabotaged. To this day, my assailant, Breonna J. Rivers, continues to show 0 remorse and make jokes about her act of violence toward me and other pro-lifers. I do not want clicks, fame, or sympathy for what happened to me. I want justice for the countless pro-life and conservative activists that go out and peacefully stand up for what they believe in. And justice for the thousands of preborn children who will be aborted today, tomorrow, and the next. No one.
Yeah, that's just actually crazy. I mean, especially hearing her side of the story where she was told She was essentially promised, okay, this is going to get taken care of. She's already been charged. Don't even worry about it. Everything is good. Justice will be served. And then to go, well, actually, your case was given to somebody who doesn't actually, have technical legal capabilities of practicing the law because he hasn't passed the bar yet. But we have a student law exemption, and we just gave it to him. We thought felony assault, yeah, the guy that doesn't practice law before, in an official capacity, he can handle that. That's a totally easy case. This was clearly malicious in nature. And that's the part that pisses me off, is the fact that Alvin Bragg, the district attorney, is not suffering repercussions from this. He should be in jail. Yeah. Because this is two-tier justice. It's so interesting. You see all these liberals complain online. It's like, well, we have two-tier justice. Dude, the justice system is skewed. We are so cooked.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I'm actually looking up right now because what was the other situation that Alvin Bragg found himself involved with? It was okay, so yeah, he's the DA for Manhattan. Mm-hmm. So I forgot if he was a part of some of the stuff against Trump or whatever, but yeah, no, people do always try and resort to that, talking about anytime that Trump tries to do anything that he thinks is best for the country, they'll find a million ways to get knocked down in lesser courts. And yeah, like, it is interesting that I forgot who it was a part of, or like whose case it was a part of, but
Daniel Penny.
That too. But what I was gonna reference, I forgot what news story it was recently, where I think a lot of people discovered that magistrate judges don't even have to pass the bar; they can just be like appointed to that position. Not saying that that's what Alvin Bragg is, but it's just like, yeah, there's a lot of people who are in these positions who really serve no purpose other than ideological. It's not that they're the most qualified person for that position, but it's that they kind of, are in lockstep with the agenda, and the people who are in power think that they can use them to their advantage, and it's working. It's working quite well for them, actually. So, it's sad to see.
Yeah, and the other case that I just jumped in with, apologies, was Daniel Penny, the subway case where he choked out the guy who was attacking the woman, and the guy passed away, and then Alvin Bragg maliciously prosecuted him, trying to get him, and kudos to Daniel Penny. Like, God bless him. The guy saved a woman's life, spent over a year in the judicial system just with everything thrown at him, won his settlement. I think he sued and won, if I'm not, can anyone correct me? Did he end up actually suing and winning? And then he left. He didn't become a social media influencer. He didn't start a podcast or anything. Kudos. The guy was a good person who did a good thing, got stuck with crappy people persecuting him, and then he just got out of it. He managed to and he didn't push his luck. So credit where credit's due. I respect it,
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that because, yeah, we do see that anytime that anyone goes viral with any type of situation, the first thing that they resort to is by starting some kind of organization or starting a podcast or whatever. It's kind of off topic, but I was just I saw some news about the Hawk Tuah girl today, and I just think, every time I see her face, it's so crazy that someone just was a part of a street interview and then pulled a crypto scam allegedly, and then now she can just ride off into the sunset and might not have to work the rest of her life. I don't know how much money she made between doing her podcast sponsorships and then this crypto thing, but it's just we're just so cooked, the way that we've set up society to benefit the worst people possible. It's just crazy. But
yeah, we really do reward stupidity. I mean, the other instance I was thinking about was Kyle Rittenhouse, and no shade on him. I mean, what was he, 17 when that happened? And then he spent 3 years in the courts. So his only outlook after all that was to start a show, because there's no way anyone's going to ever hire him for a job. So he's sort of the exception, but he's also who I think of when someone had a terrible thing happen to them and then they started, a podcast, awareness, whatever. Although I think he quit. If I'm not mistaken, he hasn't been on social media in a while since he got married. So good. Once again, good for him, right? Yeah. That's the goal. Freaking get married and just get out, find a way to make your money and leave, man. The Hawk Tuah girl, is her name Haley?
Haley Welch.
Yeah, Haley Welch. She did her, like you said, her podcast and then the rug pull, supposedly. Oh, but the fact that we gave her a podcast is crazy. Like I'm saying, I understand more Kyle Rittenhouse's scenario and would have understood Daniel Penny going out and being a little bit more outspoken about the injustices in the system than I do Haley Welch with a rug pull and a crypto coin and a friggin' podcast.
Yeah. I mean, very rarely do people who kind of find themselves launch into a limelight actually deliver. Actually, one really good example that I can think of that is James Younger. James Younger is actually extremely smart. And every time I've seen him doing an interview, I'm like, I can't believe that, like, it almost feels like it's like a setup that he was foisted into this position, which, you know, is a bad position, obviously, with his, you know, his son being taken from him and then his ex-wife forcing his son to be trans or whatever. But he was like very knowledgeable about like history and everything. So a lot of respect for him. But a lot of people don't have any of that, but they're still able to grift off of it. And, you know, that's just the nature of the media landscape, I guess. But
Yeah, the other one that comes to mind, and I could be totally off here, I'm not very well versed on it, was Candace Owens' start. Like, I don't remember how she got started, but I remember
Red Pill Black.
Yeah, it
her
was like
thing,
it was like they did a whole, you know, and she just blew up. And then Charlie Kirk took her with Turning Point, and now obviously Con Inc. doesn't like her at all. But she did get her start in sort of this, wow, this person is just randomly exploding out of the blue and ends up being knowledgeable, so everyone loves them all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And so that's what you just said reminded me.
Well,
of.
honestly, personally, I should have capitalized on being a Hispanic Trump supporter back in like 2017, 2018, because it was just like shooting fish in a barrel for anyone who wasn't white to start a podcast or like become a TP USA ambassador. And you know, I'm half joking about that, but actually, like it really is that way. I actually shared this picture in our group chat the other day of like this like black guy who I saw on Twitter. He's like a Trump supporter or something. And he's like holding this like huge flag, but I'm sure, and like, you know, not to, you know, I mean, maybe he is smarter than I'm giving him credit for, but I mean, these people can have the most basic takes imaginable. Like they don't have to know their history. They don't have to know anything about the rule of law or about how government works or anything. But if you just are not white and then you say that you're a Trump supporter, and even still to this day, it still kind of works a little bit. It has been patched a little bit. This method has been patched a little bit, but I mean, people could just spam the minority Trump supporter shtick at one point and become pretty well off. So
yeah, you know. if you gave some, you know, basic verses in a song that rhymed and it was pro-Trump, so long as you weren't white, you would blow up. And then you have these rappers, no offense, don't really rap. I mean, I'm not by any means a connoisseur of rap. Don't listen to that music at all. But I can at least recognize patterns in music and patterns in real life, which is what made me, you know, who I am today.
Yeah, what got you here? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so.
You should have capitalized for sure. I could imagine Mendoza soundboard on a Trump show in 2017.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's crazy. But well, yeah, and I mean, yeah, that's how a lot of these people got their shows, got their ambassadorships for TPUSA. It's just like, oh, you're not white and you wore a MAGA. That was another thing too. Is like you just wear a MAGA hat and that's it. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Just wear a MAGA hat once, take a picture of it, and I mean, like honestly, like you don't even have to provide any evidence. Just say that you got like assaulted or like you got fired from your job or, you know, just like be a shitty employee or like drop out of school and be like, oh, they actually expelled me or they fired me because I'm a Trump supporter. Just, you know, it's also stupid.
Pull a Jussie Smollett.
Yeah.
Wait, that's actually crazy. Jussie Smollett faked a hate crime and got more sympathy from the media than Savannah Craraven did for actually getting assaulted on camera in front of the world. Like, that's crazy that's where we're at. I mean, I'm not even surprised. I'm just more so like, wow, that's crazy.
Also, by the way, that Jussie thing, that was in Chicago when I was there. And it was actually one of the coldest times ever in the last like 5 years. It was like negative, like it was sub-zero temperatures. And he was getting like a Subway sandwich at like 2 or 3 in the morning, which by the way, I mean, you know, living in Chicago, like you do tend to like go get food late or whatever if you're like just up and you like came in from partying or whatever. But I'm like, so you were getting a Subway sandwich at 2 in the morning. It's like -10 outside. You're rich. Why wouldn't you just Uber Eats it? Like, it's just like that whole story. Like, you know, I didn't call it out from the very beginning, but I was like, wait, it's like -10 right now. There's no way that he's like walking out in the middle of the night. And then, you know, and then also speaking of people who like grift off of being non-white Trump supporters, those guys, didn't they like get like a show on Tucker or something like that? The 2 African guys who were like his trainers, who he had set he set up this fake hate crime with. They did an interview with Jesse Waters or someone on Fox News or something. Yeah.
Did they really?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. It was like Jesse Waters or someone from Fox News. I want to say. I don't think it was Tucker, but it was someone at Fox News. But yeah, there were like 2 African, or maybe it was that's the one with Jesse. I see you pulling it up right now.
Yeah, but, I'm not finding it. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, it may have been Jesse Waters. I feel like it was Jesse Waters, but you may want to look that up. But yeah, they were able to, and then like I think they were on Cameo or something, and they were able to get people to like pay them to send messages or something. I don't know. It was really dumb. But yeah, that's the state of the right wing nowadays.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I don't see it.
I'll see if I can find it while you talk. But
Yeah, no, that's so interesting. I forgot all about that. Isn't that crazy that there's so many instances of terrible things happening and Lake Worth people just get away with it? And
Yeah.
then at the same time they cry like, oh, white people racist. And then I was watching a video of, it was on David Cate's Instagram. He was posting his interview with Fox because they were talking to him. And the interviewer said, should you have gone, to that HBCU? And he goes, well, what does that say if I don't go? And I'm like, that's a great point. Could you imagine if he specifically avoided an HBCU and it got out there? Then all the people would be like, why don't you want to talk to us? And so like, there really is no winning with these people. They're just always angry. They're always angry all the time. I mean, even in the gym, and I go to a nice gym in a nice area. It's a basic gym, but there's still Lake Worth people there, and it's like, man, you look mad at me, and I don't even know who you are.
yeah, by the way, this was on Fox Nation. This isn't even the interview I was talking about, but there was like a sit-down interview that they had with some prominent host. It's on mute right now. Also, by the way, we actually have to be a little bit more mindful of playing interviews, because the last show that we did that we had to take down for other reasons anyway, there were like 3 copyright things because of songs or because of interviews. So that's another thing about being on YouTube nowadays, because before we were focusing on Rumble, but now we have to be a little bit more conscious of
So
what we're
music.
playing on YouTube.
We
Music,
just have to watch for music.
but even interviews from like Fox News or whatever. Like I don't know what constitutes fair use, but I think you have to like only watch like less than 30 seconds, and like you have to make sure that you're like giving commentary every so often. But yeah, it's tricky. I mean, which I was wondering like why doesn't Rumble abide by those same rules? It's kind of interesting. I'm not sure why it shakes out that way, but like we never get copyright things from Rumble. It's always from YouTube. So
maybe
just
their
a
fair
thought.
use is different.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
weird.
But
Yeah, I didn't even realize that the trainers were the ones who had the interview on Fox. I forgot about that because I remember he described it as 2 big white dudes with MAGA hats walking in and be like, this is MAGA country, boy. And then they just assaulted him at negative below 0 temperatures in 2 a.m. in Chicago.
No, there's like multiple interviews too. Like I'm looking on Google right now. Like if you just search Jussie Smollett attackers interview, there's one on WGN News, which is a local station in Chicago. Law and Crime Network, Breakfast Club, which is a Charlemagne. Actually, well, that may not be an interview with them. Fox Nation, Extra, News Nation. Like they've done several interviews. This one's kind of funny because he's like one of the guys is wearing a. Let me pull it up real quick. He's wearing a cowboy hat. So.
And the other one's in a MAGA hat?
Yeah.
What?
Oh no! To make Africa great again.
Oh, okay.
It's like the African content in there. It's kind of funny. Yeah, they're very African. They're very black, but.
I know. If the exposure was any lower, they'd be hard to see.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So thank God for that studio light. Oops, for studio lighting there. But
yeah.
Anyway,
that's so weird. So then, where did they go? Are they like they just disappeared? They had their 5 minutes of fame interviewing, and they weren't able to start a podcast and grift off of it.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I haven't heard from them recently. They're like personal trainers or whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got some good business off of that and probably just rode off into the sunset. So.
I haven't heard about Jesse recently either.
No, me neither. Well, I mean, yeah, he's kind of been he's just been exposed and shamed, and now that's going to follow him around the rest of his life. So
yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah,
you fake a hate crime to try to push an agenda. It's just like all those accounts calling the Delta State University hanging a lynching. It's like you're just pushing this agenda to grift without getting any of your facts straight, and it's so disappointing to see.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Well, I think you have to get going, but do want to specify that Elijah will be joining for this. I guess not a second half, but we're still trying to figure out how or the direction that we want to take the show in for today. Because, like I said, they're in El Salvador right now, but we're trying to make it work. So I guess we'll sign off for now. But I'll be back shortly. I'll still be producing this next part. Maybe Earl Grey will join us, but Elijah will be joining us from El Salvador, giving us some updates from what's going on over there. And then also other stuff in the news. I think he wants to talk about the Bibi Netanyahu thing going on with Israel right now, and then Trump actually saying no to Israel for annexing the West Bank, I believe. So we'll talk about that in the next part.
Interesting.
So,
all right. Well, then I'll sign off here and say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for watching at least this segment. We hope to see you in the next one, even though I won't. And then I'll be back probably Monday. You can follow me at Braden Sorbo, just any and all social media platforms. Get the book on sorbostudios.com. Signing off. Peace.